of also members of the Deutsch-Politische Gesellschaft in other geographical chapters. And welcome also friends. I haven't noticed whether there are any friends in the audience this evening. If there are any friends, I think this evening or early next year would be a great opportunity for you to convert your friendship into a membership. Anyway, this evening's agenda is... Sorry, somebody's not on mute. Could you, the last person, go on mute, please? Thanks very much. Okay, so this evening's agenda is in two parts. In a few minutes, Joe Rippier and Mike Marklove will read and perform for us some really fascinating texts. But the second item, the other item, is a kind of celebration of the 70th anniversary of the DBG Rhein-Main. Now, I think many of you will recall the party that we had in 2019, in the summer of 2019, to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the DBG overall, which was founded in 1949 in Düsseldorf. Now it's our turn in Rhein-Main. We were founded 2 years later in 1951 as the Deutsch-Englische Gesellschaft Landesgruppe Rhein-Main. And so this evening we're celebrating our own 70th anniversary. Some of you may have attended the online celebratory event that we had in June this year, where one of the high points was a recorded message from the Prime Minister of Hessen, Volker Bouffier. But we also had live speeches by the Honorary Consul Andreas Fabricius and the former chairman of the DBG Berlin, Henning Horstmann, and a few words by myself. And this was followed by an interesting talk by our very good friend, Professor Rüdiger Görner, on his new novel, The Marble Song. Now, that evening, I hope that evening was not dry in terms of content, but it was certainly dry in the sense that there was no drink available to celebrate with, and we've decided to do something about that this evening. Incidentally, we did hope to have an in-person celebration sometime during the fourth quarter of this year, and we did initially start planning an event at Campus West End, but of course Corona and COVID-19 have put paid to that. Sorry, I'm just being... So this evening we're celebrating online again, but with a special feature. Just before we come to that, a few words on how this year has been for DBG Rhein-Main. All of our events this year, for obvious reasons, were online events, which is a pity, of course, because in-person events are so much nicer and more personal. But that said, we had many first-class events with excellent speakers on fascinating subjects. And for me, an absolute highlight was the talk by Dr. Hannah White in October on Brexit, COVID-19, and the British Constitution. But we've had, as I say, we've had lots of excellent events this year. And luckily, and also because Michael Gehrig has played such has done such a good job, the technology has generally worked very well. We already have a pretty full event program for 2022. And there too, Michael Gehrig continues to make a huge contribution to the success of the Deutsch-Politische Gesellschaft Rhein-Main, for which many thanks. I think 2021 was also notable in terms of the excellent cooperation between the various chapters of the DBG, and I think particularly of Berlin, but also of Düsseldorf and others besides Rhein-Main. So we were able to exchange events and invite other members of other chapters to attend our events and vice versa. That was very good. In terms of membership this year, one second, sorry. The membership of individuals and couples has remained pretty much stable. In fact, we've had, I think, a slight growth in membership in that category. But I'm very happy to say that we have acquired a new institutional or corporate member in the form of Greenhill Europe GmbH and Co. KG, which is a financial service company with a big Frankfurt office, which has its roots in Barings Corporate Finance. And I think many of you will remember that Barings was one of the traditional old merchant banks in London. So it's very good news that Greenhill have decided to become an institutional, or rather corporate member. And by the way, I used to work at another of these traditional old merchant banks in London called Kleinwort Benson. Furthermore, in 2021, our financial position has remained stable, indeed relatively strong, which is very good news. It's not the case with all societies like us. Many of them are suffering, but we are in a stable position still. And then one other thing I should say before I move on to the toast, and that is that it was important, very important to me and the rest of the board, that in this anniversary year, we should award the Dagmar Vestberg Prize. And indeed, Professor Christoph Heil, thank you, Christoph, mailed me the result earlier today. We have two winners this year. One is Alina Aulbuhr, who has written an impressive piece on matrimony, with a pun on matrimony, spelt as in brackets as money at the end, as in cash, from the marriage market to domestic bliss in selected works of Frances Burney, Maria Edgeworth, and Jane Austen. And the second winner is Ivona Bilusic, I guess that's the right pronunciation, who has written an excellent piece entitled "Crossing the Boundaries of Genre and Gender," or sorry, genre and gender, I should say, in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Okay, before I suggest a toast, I'd just like to say that I hope everybody who is listening this evening or attending this evening has indeed received a bottle of wine with the special DBG Rhein-Main 70th silver label. Michael Gehrig tells me that a few missed out for logistical reasons, but if anyone is attending this evening who didn't receive a bottle of wine, may I ask you to go and fetch a glass of wine, of some other wine, from your kitchen to join us in our toast in a moment. The wine was donated by somebody, a very, very generous person from the organization, from the society, who prefers to remain anonymous, but that's obviously, we obviously owe that person a huge vote of thanks, and I'll come to that in a minute. So what kind of wine is it? It is a Hochheimer Königin Victoria Berg Riesling Trocken 2020 from the Joachim Flick winery. And it's a very high quality wine, a VDP Erste Lage. I don't know whether all of you had the chance to read the label on the bottle, but I was most impressed. I hadn't seen it before. I'd forgotten about the content, about the reference to Queen Victoria, which I'll just read out to you quickly now in case you haven't been able to read it yourselves. So, auf ihrer Deutschlandreise im Jahre 1845 besuchte die englische Königin Victoria diesen Weinberg in Hochheim. Überzeugt von den dort wachsenden Rieslingweinen, verlieh ihre Majestät dem Weinberg ihren Namen. Bis heute werden die Weine vom Victoriaberg im englischen Königshaus genossen. So this is certainly as genuine a hock, I'm sure you're all familiar with that expression, as you could wish to have. And I trust that you share Queen Elizabeth's and Prince Charles's taste in dry white wine. So just before we raise our glasses, I would like to say a few words of thanks. First of all, of course, to Joe and Mike for agreeing to perform for us this evening. and then again to Michael Gehrig, because in addition to his other contributions, he, with a little help from Bernd von Malzmann and myself, is basically responsible for developing the idea for this evening's celebration and also for making it happen. So thank you again, Michael. Huge thanks to the anonymous wine donor. Very, very generous indeed. And thank you also to all members, first of all, for being members and continuing to support us because, well, I say first of all, that's the only point I want to make. You members are the most important parties in this whole arrangement. So I would like you all to raise your glasses. I am not on the picture at the moment. Am I on the picture? Zoom meeting. I see Peter Franklin is has dialed in from Oxford or Cambridge by the look of things.
No, it's just a picture behind me.
It's just a picture behind you, fine. So I would like you to raise your glasses, please, with this this special wine, and drink with me to 70 years of DBG Rhein-Main and many more happy and successful years to come. So cheers, everybody. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
And long live Rhein-Main.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, Renata. That's very kind.
And the cooperation with Heidelberg.
Alles Gute zum
Cheers.
Geburtstag.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Wow.
Not bad, not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all share Queen Elizabeth's and Prince Charles' taste in white wine, I ask?
Well, it's very fruity.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of.
Bernd Unemann, Bernhard, you are a bit of a wine connoisseur. What do you think about it? Excellent wine, thank you. A message from Heribert Jürgens. Thank you very much indeed. Well, maybe we'll move on.
Nick, can we open the stage?
No, 1 second.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm not really a connoisseur of wine, I must say, but for medical reasons, I just have water.
Oh.
I didn't say anything about that. I will enjoy the wine for another occasion.
Okay.
So,
Right.
but anyhow, that's how it is.
Okay, understood. Thank you for that. And I hope you enjoy it on a future occasion. So now to the other item of today's agenda, to this evening's entertainment. Joe Rippier, Dr. Joseph Rippier, whom many of you know and many of whom are friends with him. He is a member of the Deutsche Politische Gesellschaft Rhein-Main. He's a former board member of the Deutsche Politische Gesellschaft Rhein-Main. And he has been a frequent speaker or performer or entertainer at our events. And indeed, with his daughter Alison, he performed for us late last year with an excellent reading of humorous texts. Now, he's joined this evening by Mike Marklove, who is also an accomplished reader and actor. And together they will read and perform for us some really interesting and fascinating texts on Casanova and Boswell. There'll be an interval of 10 minutes or so to allow Joe and Mike to get their breath back.